The Carnival Radiance has something that no other West Coast Carnival ship has, and I'm about to show you every quirky detail. I'm even counting every single step as I walk the entire ship from bottom to top, front to back. If you're sailing from Long Beach for the first time, you need to see why the Carnival Radiance is totally unique and the only ship heading to this secret destination. So let's take a ship tour to find out if she's worth it. My name is Ruben and I am not a cruise expert, but I do know how to customize my MySpace page. Ship overview. Most people think the Radiance is only for quick weekend getaway, and that she's the cheapest ship sailing out of Long Beach. Both of those aren't entirely true. But before we get to that, here's some history on the Carnival Radiance. The Carnival Radiance actually used to be the Carnival Victory that debuted in 2000 and went through a $200 million makeover that turned her into the Radiance in September of 2021. Today, she sails to a variety of itineraries from Long Beach, California. Everything from those 3-day party cruises to Catalina, Ensenada, and even Cabo, all the way up to 14-night Hawaii journeys. So no, she is not just a weekend party cruise ship. And yes, for now, the Carnival Radiance is the only Long Beach Carnival ship that sails to Hawaii, at least until the legend comes in October 2027 that will do exclusive Hawaii sailings. The Radiance is a great ship for first-time Carnival cruisers, and I will explain why later. Oh, and if you're a first-time Carnival cruiser, or if it's your first time sailing out of Long Beach, you need to watch this video here for your ultimate guide to the Long Beach port. One thing to note is that after I made that video, parking today at Long Beach is now very restricted, and you will very likely get a notice to park off-site. It's really not that bad, but allocate an extra hour to park off-site and come back on the free bus. The Atrium. Let's start our tour at the entrance. When you step on board, you enter the ship's atrium. This is on deck 3 and goes all the way up to deck 11. The lobby bar is here and is one of your social hubs where people gather for cocktails, dancing, and entertainment and more. On embarkation day, if you want to get a drink when you first get on the ship, like Brad and Amy here, then give the bartenders your boarding pass. Now, the Atrium is not as jaw-dropping as on other ships, but it delivers that fun carnival vibe the minute you step on board. Main dining rooms. Right off the Atrium is one of 2 main dining restaurants, or MDRs. The Sunrise is the forward MDR and is where you come for dinner if you have set time dining. You have either an early option around 5:15 p.m. or a late option around 7:30 p.m. Every night you will sit with the same group for a sit-down dinner, and there is a different menu every night. Some of my favorites are the crawfish strudel, braised short rib, and chocolate melting cake. I burped just thinking about it. What are your favorites? Let me know in the comments below. Every night the staff will put on an entertaining show.
Lucas, turn up one.
The MDR is also where you will find this secret hidden restaurant that many people do not know about. If you want to find out more about that, check out this video here. Now, if you remember, I said there are 2 MDRs. Don't worry, I will talk about the other one later, as well as some must-know food tips like how much the MDR costs. Now, the MDR is a great spot to come for dinner and breakfast. The food is decent, but if you're a hardcore foodie, you might be disappointed. So, stay tuned for my recommendation if that's you. Carnival Adventures and Guest Services. On the other side of the Atrium on deck 3, there's also Carnival Adventures and Guest Services. Carnival Adventures is where you go for shore excursions to book or to ask questions about the excursions. Now, if your question relates to anything other than a shore excursion, you will want to go across the way to Guest Services. Now, if this is your first time on Carnival, you might want to consider getting Faster to the Fun. Make sure you subscribe because I'm going to make a video all about Faster to the Fun, its pros and cons, and if it's worth getting. You'll be able to see that here. Getting around. Now, before we continue the tour, here's a pro tip about getting around, because while the Radiance is a quirky ship and it's so easy to get lost. Now, we've already talked about everything that you can get to from the Atrium on Deck 3. Now, if you want to go to any of the other public areas on the ship, on the inside, you'll have to go up. Even if you want to go to the other MDR, which is in the back or after the ship on Deck 3, you still have to go up or down. That's because this whole middle section on the ship on Deck 3 and 4 is the MDR and galley, and it means that you cannot walk through it. Quirky, right? So an important thing to know is that on Decks 3 and 4, you are not able to get from the front or fore of the ship to the after back of the ship. You will need to go down to Deck 2 or up to Deck 5. Now, stay tuned because I'm going to give you another game-changing tip so that you do not get lost or stuck in a dead end. Atrium Deck 4. Remember how I said that we have to go up from Deck 3? There are stairs and elevators here. You can also take these stairs in the Atrium with a fun view. Up on Deck 4, we can find three things. First is Java Blue. This is Carnival's coffee shop where you can get desserts or your caffeine fix from Joshua. He is the best. He makes amazing coffee. Oh, and PS, I won't tell anyone that you added a shot to your morning coffee. Now, most of Deck 4 is also where Pixels is. This is where you can see and purchase your photos. Fahrenheit 555 Steakhouse. Finally, on Deck 4 and above the MDR is Fahrenheit 555 Steakhouse. This is one of 4 specialty dining restaurants if you want something a little more special and fancy than the MDR or the casual dining on board. It is an extra charge, but if you are a foodie, it might well be worth it. This bread was nice. It was flaky, crunchy, and delicious. I got a little mini burger appetizer. It was okay. Next up was this lobster bisque, which looked better than it tasted. The mushroom risotto was pretty decent. For my main entree, I had the USDA Prime spiced rubbed ribeye. It tasted like the seasoning was only on the outside that really didn't penetrate. Now for the dessert, I got these caramelized apples. The experience in the service was amazing, but the food was so-so. Now stay tuned and I'll tell you more about all the other restaurants later. Or you can watch this redemption video where I went back to Fahrenheit on the Firenze and the food turned out amazing. You can watch that video here. Liquid Lounge. On the other side of the Atrium on Decks 4 and 5 is where the Liquid Lounge will be. And this is where they have different events and shows like Deal or No Deal, the Love and Marriage Show. They also have the Welcome Aboard Show, as well as theater production. There is a bar here as well.
So cute.
Atrium Deck 5. Going up to Deck 5, we can see the fun shops for shopping. There's areas with watches. You can get jewelry. You've got apparel. Carnival swag for souvenir. There's this small drugstore section. There's tobacco products. Alcohol. Clothing. Handbags. Sunglasses. Perfume. Makeup. Even jewelry. I got my necklace and bracelet here. As well as cherry on top to buy some sweet treats. Behind that is the warehouse arcade to get your arcade on. Remember that this is an extra charge also. On the other side of the Atrium is the Heroes Tribute Bar. If you want to get your sports fix on, this is a great spot to do it because they have a bunch of TVs and great drinks. Deck 5. So my first tip for getting around the ship is to remember Deck 5. everything you want to get to on the inside of the ship, you can get to from deck 5. So if you're not sure where to go, just go to deck 5. As we make our way aft, we get to the casino. They have tons of fun table games, slot machines, and even a casino bar. That is awesome, especially if you get a casino offer with drinks on us at the casino. There's a cage for a cashier, ATM, and machine to add cash to your sign and sale card. You can then use your sign and sale card every time you want to play on the slot machine or at the card game. Remember to cash out your winnings before you leave on the second to last day of sailing, because the cage is closed on disembarkation day. Oh, wait, you don't know what a sign and sale card is? Stay tuned and I will explain everything about that card later. You definitely need to know all about that. Now going aft past the casino, we get to Bonsai Sushi. This is another specialty dining restaurant that charges extra. I had sushi here with some friends and it was pretty good. Right behind Bonsai Sushi is the RedFrog Pub. This is not only one of the bars on the ship, but they have tons of events here. They have live music, trivia, beer pong tournaments, karaoke, and more. Let's go Cheyenne and Carrie. After this is the piano bar where you can hear some great tunes and get a drink.
She loves the theater, but never comes late.
Another great place to get a drink is the Alchemy Bar, where they make some amazing creations. Now that we're at the back or aft of the ship, let's go down to deck 3 for the aft or sunset main dining restaurant or MDR. Remember, you can only get here by coming up from deck 2 or down from deck 5. Here is where you will come for anytime dining. If you have this option, you can eat anytime from 5 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. Note that the waiting times are longer during peak hours like 6 to 7, or if you have an unusually large party. Now, if you are eating here, everyone needs to check in to dine, so do yourself a favor and download the Carnival Hub app before you get on the ship so you have it. You can check in from anywhere on the ship and get notified so you do not have to wait like all these people here. You also only need one person from your party to check everyone in. The other thing you can use the app for is checking out the menus every night while you're on board. The Hub app also shows you all of the events that are happening every day, and if you pay $5 for the whole trip, you can message with your friends and family. I love this feature. Oh, and by the way, if you want a traditional paper menu, you can ask for that. Now, if you have never been on a Carnival cruise before, the MDR, well, it's included in your cruise fare. That's right, you can get as many appetizers and desserts as you want. For main entrees, you can get 2 included, and any additional entrees 3 and above are only $5 each. That's not too bad. Know that there are some things like lobster, a nicer steak, and sushi that are available for an extra fee. If you are not sure what is included versus extra charge, just ask. Most of the time, if something has an extra charge on the menu or on the signage, it will tell you how much it is. They also have vegetarian and gluten-free options. 2 more things to know about here at the Aft MDR are the Sea Day Brunch and Tea Time. Sea Day Brunch is offered on sea days only, and it's breakfast kicked up a notch with some items that you cannot get at any other time, like steak and eggs, 12-hour French toast, skillet cake, and more. Tea time is only offered on the last sea day from 3 to 4 p.m. and has tea, finger snacks, and some desserts. For 10 must-know Carnival dining tips, including how to get free booze, check out this video here. Where to now? Well, wherever you want to go, you will need to go up or down to get there. If you want to go back to the Atrium, it's easier to go down to deck 2 and go all the way forward to get there. But how far is the walk? Good question. Later in this video, I'm going to count how many steps it takes to get from the very back to the very front of the ship, and how many steps it takes to get from the bottom all the way to the top. Limelight Lounge. After an incredible dinner, we want to get our laugh on and burn some of these calories off. So let's go to the Limelight Lounge for the Punchliner Comedy Club, which has both family-friendly and, well, not family-friendly comedy acts. The Limelight Lounge is the single trickiest place to get to on the entire ship. So come with me and you'll see why. We have to go up to deck 5, and then you can only get there from the middle of the ship by the casino. You can take the elevators or stairs down to deck 4 and you will see it here. Now they have comedy shows, Build-A-Bear, and even a nightclub for after-hours dancing. what you need to know about Carnival cabins. If you have ever stayed in a hotel room, well, they are very different than the cruise cabins you get on a Carnival ship. The first thing you need to know about is how to find your cabin. Now that we've toured a good part of the ship, our cabin is probably ready. On embarkation day, unless you have a suite or faster the fun, you probably won't be able to access your cabin until around 1:30. And yes, Diamond and Platinum have the same privileges, but well, you already know what you're doing, right? Also note that even if you do have this early access, you are only allowed to drop off your luggage and you need to leave. Carnival asks that you do not stay in your cabin because this will allow the amazing crew to finish getting your cabin and everyone else's cabin ready. Now, once the cruise director has announced that the cabins are ready, you can head to your cabin. The first few numbers of your cabin tell you which deck you are on. The even cabin numbers are on the left or port side of the ship. The odd numbers are on the right side or starboard side of the ship. Once you find your cabin, you will see a little envelope like this. Open it up to find your sign and sail card. Guard this card with your life because you will use it for just about everything. Now, I'm going to explain why you need this card later. First, let's use our sign and sail card to go inside. If this is your first time cruising, let me explain a little bit about cruise ship cabins, which are very different than any hotel room that you get on land. Cruise cabins are much smaller than even the smallest hotel room. Now, Radiance cabin sizes range anywhere from 125 all the way up to 465 square feet. For comparison, the average hotel room is 300 square feet. So many of your interior cabins can be 25% the size of the biggest suite and half the size of your typical hotel room. Now, no matter which cabin you get, they will all have similar essentials. Most cabins have 2 twin-size beds that can be pushed together to make a king. When you first book or when you check in, you have the option to change the configuration. Now, some cabins have fold-down bunk beds and/or a couch that convert to a bed. There are a few cabins that only have one single bed and a fold-down, pull-down bunk bed, and it only has a max capacity of 2 people. Pro tip, if you are trying to cram as many people as you can into a cruise cabin, look into the pricing for 2 cabins instead. Oftentimes, it is around the same price for 2 cabins with 2 people each as it is for 1 cabin with 4 people. Another pro tip is to share this video with the friends and family that you're cruising with. It helps out my channel tremendously, and I really appreciate it, so thank you. In the bathroom, you will have a sink, toilet, and shower. You get a soap bar, and in the shower, there is body wash and shampoo. If you are picky about your products, then I recommend bringing your own. I love these travel-size bottles for that. I'll put an Amazon link for the travel bottles, shampoo, and conditioner I use in the description below. If you want to see my 21 must-pack Amazon cruise items, check out this video here. Now, back out in the cabin, you will have at least 1 table with various electrical outlets for both 110 and 220 volt power. On the Radiance, if you are on decks 2 or 5, you will also have electrical and USB outlets by your bed and bedside lamp, but your access to power is usually pretty limited. Also remember that you are not allowed to bring power strips or anything with surge protection because it is a fire hazard. Your cabin does come with a hairdryer, but you might want to bring your own. Just know that some of the crazy high wattage hairdryers might not work. You also have a cooler that is technically not a refrigerator, but will keep things cold and is pretty handy. Many Carnival cabins have been retrofitted and now have these motion sensor nightlights, which are really handy. I still like bringing an additional nightlight though, for the monsters. Your cruise cabin will also have some cabinets that have hangers, drawers, and a safe. Note that different cabins will have different configurations, and some are better than others. And another pro tip, when you're done unpacking, put your luggage underneath the bed for more space. You will find cabins on every deck of the ship except for deck 4, 12, and 14. No matter which deck your cabin is on, you probably want to get back out to the fun. But first,
let me take a selfie.
Actually, this is a great tip, which is to take some photos and videos of your cabin right now when it looks immaculate and amazing. It will never look this good again during your trip. Okay, before we leave our cabin, always remember to bring your sign and sail card because it is how you get into your cabin. You will also use your sign and sail card for almost everything on the ship. You need it to get an alcoholic beverage even if you have the Cheers program. You need it to buy specialty coffee or shakes even if you have Cheers Zero Proof program. And you also need it to make any purchases at the fun shops or the spa. Hand your card to the crew. That's one reason I love this lanyard, because it has a quick release. I spent way too much time looking through Amazon to find this one that I like. Link in the description if you're interested. Remember that almost every time you purchase something, there will be an automatic 18% gratuity added to it. That's why they make you sign for it. You will also get charged for tax while you are in US waters. It's up to you if you want to add an additional gratuity. You will also need your sign and sail card when you leave the ship so that you can get back on board. And very important, on disembarkation day, you will need your card to check out and leave. So don't pack it up with your stuff and put it in your checked luggage the night before. So a lot of people ask me, Adam, how do I buy an alcoholic beverage before I get my sign and sail card? Well, first of all, my name's not Adam. Second of all, keep your boarding pass handy and give it to the bartenders. They can use that to charge it to your account. One last thing to remember to do is to check out this playlist with ship tours of all the Carnival ships sailing out of Long Beach. You will find out exactly how many steps there are to get from the very bottom all the way to the top of the Radiance. You hear lots of statistics about cruise ships, how many hundreds of feet long they are, how many thousands of people they hold, but numbers don't really paint a picture. So I wanted to get a tangible sense of how big the Carnival Radiance ship really is. How? Well, by measuring it with my own 2 feet. I'm gonna count every step it takes to walk from the bow all the way to the stern. Then we're climbing from the lowest deck zero all the way to the top. How many steps will it take to conquer this ship? Let's find out. Challenge number 1. My first challenge was to find out how long the ship is. The Carnival Radiance is officially 893 feet or 272 meters long, but who really knows what that means? So let's measure that in steps. Let's start at the bow or front of the ship. Did you know that this floating city can sail with 3,873 guests at maximum capacity and 1,108 crew for a total of 4,981 people? That's crazy. Okay, we made it from the stern all the way to the back of the ship.
240 steps across the entire Radiance.
240 steps, wow. Well, it doesn't sound like a lot, but it was. So, challenge 1 completed, and that was the easier one. It's honestly wild that something this massive can even float with 5,000 people on board. Now, if you're finding this experiment as mind-boggling and cool as I am, do me a huge favor and share this video with a friend. This helps me out so much, and I really appreciate it. Now, on to the next challenge. Challenge number 2. 1 challenge down, 1 to go. This one is a lot harder. So do you think I'll make it? We are going all the way down to deck 0 to climb all the way back up to deck 14. Now, because deck 0 is a crew deck, the Carnival Radiance has 13 passenger decks. We're gonna take the stairs all the way to the top. Now, while we're doing this, here's a few more fun facts about the Radiance. Do you know that she has a gross tonnage of 101,509? Yep, I have no clue what that means either. But we will get a good idea how big she is when we get to the top. We made it. 202 steps to get from the bottom all the way to the very top of the Radiance. Man, that was tiring. Well, at least I don't have to go to the gym now. Grand total. 240 steps to walk the full length of the ship and 202 steps to climb from the very bottom to the very top. But which ship should I measure next? Let me know in the comments below. Kids areas. Well, now that we're up here on deck 14, let's check out the kids areas. You have Camp Ocean for kids 2 to 11, Circle C for 12 to 14, and Club O2 for 15 to 17. Relaxation area, the Serenity Lounge. Ironically, right next to the kids only area is the adults only area. Serenity 21 and up, where you can find peace and quiet and sun. This area is on both port and starboard sides of the ship. On the starboard side, you can go down from deck 14 to deck 12, and that's where they have a hot tub and a bar. Cloud 9. Now, if we go down one deck to deck 11, we can find the Cloud 9 spa for massages, facials, thermal suites, and more. If you want a full tour, check out this video here with a tip on how to score free spa services. Pool and outdoor fun. Going outside, we run into Carnival WaterWorks, the water park with 2 water slides and a splash area. aft on decks 11 and 12, we find more activities like a basketball court, jogging track, ropes course, mini golf, Lido deck. Let's head to the heart of the ship, the Lido deck on decks 9 and 10. Remember how I said that you can get to all things inside from deck 5? Well, you can get to all things outside from deck 9. So if you ever get lost, head to deck 5 or 9 and you should be able to find what you're looking for. That's my secret trick. In the center of the ship on deck 9 is the main Lido area. That's where you can find the pool, lots of deck chairs to hang out. You might even run into a wedding. And of course, the happy couple will want to come to one of these two bars for shots. You have the RedFrog Rum Bar and the BlueIguana Tequila Bar. Speaking of BlueIguana, there is also the BlueIguana Cantina for Mexican food and the world famous Guy's Burger joint. Going aft, here's the Lido Deli on the port side. One of my favorite things to do is to get a pretzel bun from the Lido Deli, get a burger from Guy's, and make a pretzel burger. On the opposite starboard side is Seafood Shack. This is a more casual specialty dining, and it has an additional charge. I've had the lobster roll, crab cakes, crab, seafood platter, and they have all been amazing. Around the corner is the Lido Buffet. I almost never eat here because there are so many other great options to try. You do want to get the ice cream here though. Oh, and if you get a coffee, add some hot chocolate or ice cream to it. Now all the way aft is the Pizzeria del Capitano on port side and Shaq's Big Chicken on the starboard side. Fun fact, the Radiance is the only West Coast ship with a Shaq's Big Chicken. There are only 3 other ships with Shaq's and they are all Excel class ships. These are the newest and biggest ships that all sail on the other side of the US. Also in the after stern of the ship is another pool, 2 jacuzzis, and a bar. Now if we go upstairs to deck 10, we find Guy's Pig and Anchor BBQ. Note that they are only open for lunch on embarkation and sea days, and the line can get pretty long sometimes. Cucina del Capitano. Also on deck 10 is Cucina del Capitano. What dining at Cucina del Capitano is really like. Is Carnival's famous Italian restaurant, Cucina del Capitano, actually worth the hype and the extra cash? Vamos a comer! Wait, dang it, Google Translate! So, let's find out what dining here is really like.
Hi guys, my name is Vanessa.
The promise is a warm, rustic, family-style Italian dinner at sea. And yeah, the atmosphere definitely looks the part with the classic red and white checkered tablecloths and Italian decor. But the real question is, does the food live up to the hype and the fantasy? Spoiler alert, it totally is. But the surprising part is why. I'm on the Carnival Radiance and I'm going to share my Cucina del Capitano dining experience with you and the surprising comparison to Carnival Frenzy's Il Viaggio. Ambiance and first impressions. First things first, the vibe. Walking upstairs from the buffet feels like you're transported into a restaurant on deck 10. Okay, just kidding, kind of. Now the atmosphere isn't as luxurious or elegant as Fahrenheit 555 or Il Viaggio on the Firenze, but it definitely is nicer than anywhere else on the ship, especially the buffet. You're surrounded by warm wood, exposed brick, and wine barrels used as decor. The lighting is nice and soft, and those iconic red and white checker tablecloths give a familiar Italian restaurant feel. The name Cucina del Capitano means the captain's kitchen, and that is totally fitting. Compared to the huge, bustling main dining restaurants, and especially the buffet, this space is way more intimate and quiet. It's casual, but it still feels special. Definitely a step up. It's the perfect escape from the chaotic energy of the rest of the ship. So on ambiance alone, they're delivering so far. Now, a great vibe can only get you so far. Now for the real test, the food, and to see if it's worth the additional price tag. Menu and money. Okay, let's get into the detail, the menu and how much. Dinner at Cucina del Capitano is one of 4 specialty dining restaurants that cost extra. Right now on the Radiance, the price is $24 for an adult and $11 for kids 11 and under, and it includes an 11% automatic gratuity on top of that. For comparison, its rival Il Viaggio on the Firenze is $42 a person plus the 18% gratuity. Stay to the end and I will compare them both. Now for price, you get a full-on Italian feast, bread, an appetizer, a main course, a side dish, and a dessert. The menu is inspired by the actual family recipes of Carnival's captains and is broken down into antepasti, pasta, secondi, contorni, and dolce. But hold on, don't tell anyone else about this pro tip. You can come here for lunch for free. You fill out a sheet with your choice of pasta, sauce, and toppings, and they'll whip up a custom lunch for you for free. It's a great way to taste test their pasta and soak in the atmosphere without paying for the full dinner. Spoiler alert, it is not as good as the dinner. But stay to the end to find out what that really means and if the dinner is worth it or not. Tonight, however, we're going all in for the full dinner to find out exactly how much better it is. I checked out the menu and Vanessa was amazing and helped me decide. The bread. Like any good Italian meal, we started off with some bread. Well, actually not just some bread. This was the bread that said, "Hello to my little friend." Well, yeah, I don't know what that means either. I do know that this was some of the best bread I've ever had in my life. No cap. I don't know what that means either. This bread was incredible. I seriously would pay just to have this. Appetizer. For appetizers, I had the calamari. It really wasn't anything to write home about. Not horrible, but not great. Entree. There were some great choices, but I went with the pork chop because I got the same thing at Il Viaggio and I was curious what the difference was. But before we talk about that, this is the side that I have. Gnocchi. It was pretty good. It was like a potatoey, starchy kind of thing, and it was decent. It wasn't something that was amazing, but it also wasn't horrible. Now, I was totally surprised that this pork chop was amazing. It was cooked perfectly and so juicy. It was just so easy to cut into. Now, the presentation didn't look nearly as nice as Il Viaggio. However, I do think it tasted way better. The flavor was amazing. It was so delicious. I loved it. Seriously amazing. But what about the dessert? Dessert. So even though I paid extra for specialty dining, I made the crazy decision to pay extra on top of that to try this mile-high gelato pie for an extra $6. Did I make another crazy mistake? Let's find out. What do you think? Looking at it, it doesn't look anything too special or extra. It was decent, it was good, and I would have been happy with it as an included dessert, but I do not think that it was worth the extra price. The final verdict, is it worth it? So is Cucina del Capitano really worth the extra money? Well, yes and no. The atmosphere was an 8 out of 10. It's warm, cozy, charming escape that feels totally like a different world from the rest of the ship. Kind of. The service was fantastic, attentive, friendly, and very helpful. Now, is the food better than the main dining restaurant or MDR? Absolutely. The food at Cucina del Capitano is a clear step up in both quality and authenticity. The flavors are more specific and you can definitely tell there's a higher level of care and preparation. Now, what about compared to its Firenze rival, El Viaggio? That's what was surprising. El Viaggio costs 75% more, but it's not 75% better. In fact, the bread and pork chop were way better at Cucina. So is it worth it? Again, yes and no. If this is your first time on a Carnival ship, I recommend that you try out all the free restaurants first. There's more than enough to try out that's already included in your cruise fare. But if you've already been on the Radiance a few times, absolutely try out Cucina del Capitano. It is a great meal and especially a great value for what you get. If you are looking for a memorable and seriously satisfying Italian dinner at sea, this is one Captain's Kitchen you will be glad you visited. Now, to find out which other restaurants on the Radiance you should visit next, check out this video where I rank every restaurant to find out which is best. Cruise itineraries and price. Now that you have seen the entire ship and you know its quirks and features and you know where to eat, let's talk about the two most surprising things about the Radiance. Itineraries and price. What really surprises people is that the Radiance does more than just quick weekend party cruises. You can find longer 5, 6, and 8 night sailings that go down to Baja Mexico. And until the Legend comes over to Long Beach in October 2027, the Radiance is the only Long Beach ship that goes to Hawaii on the 14-day journey cruises. The other thing that surprised me was price. Stay tuned to the end and I'll talk more about that. Overall review. So what's the overall verdict? If you want a quick, affordable trip to Mexico, the Radiance absolutely delivers. You can find the cheapest cruise prices out of Long Beach. And if you want something longer, the Radiance can take you all the way to Hawaii on a 14-day journey cruise. Or if you want to splurge and get something fancy like a suite, you can do that too. If you've never been on a Carnival cruise before, the Radiance is a great first ship to try it on for size and see if it's for you. I am personally a fan of trying the smallest and most basic thing first instead of jumping straight to what might be the biggest and best. This is the same perspective that I have about Carnival versus other cruise lines. Yes, I know that other cruise lines like Celebrity and Virgin are probably better, but I am totally happy with Carnival right now and I'm gonna ride that out as long as I can enjoy them. But the biggest thing that surprised me when I did this comparison was that the Radiance was not the cheapest ship. If you want to know what else is out there and if one of the other ships is more your style, check out this comparison playlist series where I break down the 6 most important cruising categories among the 3 Carnival Long Beach ships: the Radiance, Firenze, and Panorama.